Welcome! My name is Amanda and I'm one of the children's librarians at the Thomas Crane Public Library in Quincy, Massachusetts. This video is part of our DIY Children's Program Resources. For more program resources, as well as ebooks, streaming movies, TV, music, and much more, please visit thomascranelibrary.org. Today, we're going to do a geometry activity making tessellations. Look at a tile floor and you'll see a tessellation. When we lay out shapes closely together so there are no gaps in between, that's a tessellation. You can do this with lots of regular geometric shapes, like squares, triangles, and hexagons. But what happens when it comes to more complex shapes? How do you make sure they always lock together correctly? I'll show you how. For this activity, you only need a couple of things. You need some heavy paper or cardboard, a pencil, a pair of scissors and an adult to help, some tape, and some regular paper to draw on. Let's get everything together and get started. Before we do anything else, let's look at tessellations with regular shapes. First, I'm going to take out some hexagons. You can see that they fit together very nicely. Now let's see what happens when we try some trapezoids. Those also fit together very nicely. What about diamonds? They sure do. All of these regular shapes will fit together very neatly. Sometimes you can combine them. See how there's no gap right here. Now, let's try making something a little more complicated. We're going to start with our heavy paper. I'm using an old folder. Get an adult to help you cut out a square using this paper. You may need a ruler to get it just the right size. I don't want my square to be too big because I want to make sure that I can fit lots of my tessellation onto one piece of paper. I'm just going to use my ruler to help me tighten things up a little bit. I'm going to make it 2 inches by 2 inches. If you have a bigger piece of paper, you can definitely make your tessellation bigger to start with. Now I have my square, but a square isn't a very complex shape. How do I make this more interesting? Now I'm going to draw on my square. Let's see. I think on this side, I'm going to add a triangle. And up here, I'm going to add a circle. Notice that I've only added something to the top and to the right. If you add something to the right, you don't want to add something to the left. And if you add something at the top, you don't want to add something at the bottom. Now, we're going to cut these pieces out. Don't throw them away. You're going to want to keep these. Now that I've cut out my shapes, I need to add them to the other side so all of this will link together. I'm going to make it fit exactly where it goes so that it matches the other side where I cut it out. Now you're going to take a small piece of tape and tape your shape together. Now we're going to do the same thing with the little circle that I made. You might need to look very closely to figure out where exactly you fit it in. Now you see that's not a square anymore. It's a little more complicated. Well, now that we have that, we're going to take our paper and start at one side. We're going to trace our shape. This is why we needed the heavier paper to start with. If we use regular paper, it probably will get all crumpled up. Now we've drawn our shape on our paper. Then we take our tessellation template and move it to the side and draw it again. Now I have two of my shape. Let's make 4. Now let's try going down here. You don't have to be perfect when you're doing this. Don't worry about making some mistakes. You'll notice as we go that we're starting to make more of our shape as we go. You can see there's the top of our shape made by the bottom of the previous shape. Let's do one more. I could cover this entire paper with this shape if I wanted to, and you can definitely do that when you do this on your own. Look at what I've made. I've made a tessellation with my new complex shape. You can make all sorts of shapes like this. All you need is some paper, some pencils, some scissors, and some tape, and some time. Try making some of these on your own, then color them in. See what sorts of patterns you can make. Have fun with your tessellations, and we'll see you next time.